Hi everyone, today I have in front of me a Remington KMC, recognizable by the lovely blue stripe on its ribbon cover and of course the KMC buttons on the left and on the right. These are used to set your margins. Now, you don't set them at the top, you set them with those buttons. Royal has a similar system on the Royal KMM, and this machine was built alongside the Royal KMM but by Remington. Royal decided, well, this looks way too similar to our system, and of course their magic margin system is their selling point, so they don't like this, and they sued Remington for copyright infringement on this machine. I'm gonna leave you guys a link in the description of this video. If you want, you can read some more about it. So yeah, at a certain point Remington was not allowed anymore to use the KMC system, and the KMCs were no longer built. When I first came across this machine, I thought I had found a glass keyed machine. I was wrong. It's not glass, it's some sort of plastic with a chrome ring around it, which is, maybe less cool, but still great. It looks like the glass key rings, but it's softer in the touch because it's plastic. This is not that first machine that I ever found. The first machine that I ever found was a total rust bucket. Some of the keys were even damaged, and I hoped, well, maybe I can replace them easily. I think that was the third machine I acquired. So yeah, I was still fresh, let's say. And a month later I found this one, which I liked a whole lot better because all the keys are great. On the inside it was still rust buckets, but the outside was, well, let's say, way better looking. Looking at the keyboard, we have over here left margin setting, return button. This is your shift and shift lock. There's one on each side, and you can unlock it on both sides. Over here we have keyboard jammer. This is your ribbon reverse. This one is removal of tabs. This one is setting tabs. And these are all your decimal tabs. Fun thing I noticed, setting a tab, and if you want to go to that tab, you need to use the 1. This one goes to your decimal point, basically. So this one stops in front of where you wanted your tab. Well, one space. This is your touch control. Over here is your color selector. Now it's set on blue. You can go for white or stencil. Middle of ribbon or red. The middle of ribbon is kind of useless when you're using a black and red ribbon, but it's very useful when you're using an all black ribbon because you can get 33% more ink out of your ribbon. And the last button I haven't discussed yet, apart from all the letters and spacebar, is of course the margin release. Moving on to the carriage. On the left side of the carriage we have your platen knob, line finder. If you press this one, this is your line selector, or how many lines you want. It's always and the amount of teeth it advances, so 2 is 2 teeth and is 1 line, 3 1.5 lines, all the way up to 6, which is 3 lines. You have a carriage release, ratchet release, and this little fellow over here is your little button that you can use to quickly remove your platen. I'll talk more about it later. So in the back we have a paper guide. There is no paper support at all. This cover over here for the KMC system is basically your paper support. Well, it's sufficient. Unless you have really floppy paper, then it hangs a bit over the back, but okay, not a problem, I think. On the right side we have other platen button, of course, paper release, secondary carriage release, and this little fellow over here. So if you roll your paper in, you can just press this or move it in the front it doesn't automatically roll under the paper, so you better use this, but you can just quickly push this one back by just pressing it like that. And you can also bring it even further to the front, which is kind of cool. Moving on to the ribbon cover. It just pops off like that. Now these Remingtons, they use either special spools with a very wide center hole, or you can use these rings with a ribbon cover. Make sure that you have either one of those systems, because a standard spool will not fit this machine. What's also kind of cool is when you type, there's an indicator that pops up. I don't know if you can see it. It has a tiny little red stripe, and I can also see underneath the ribbon where you are approximately. Well, it's the same numbers as above and in the back. Another cool thing about this machine is it's fairly easy to take apart. When you take this thing apart, and I made another video on that, you just need to remove all those chrome little knobs, and you remove a screw over here and a screw over there, and then you go to the back, and this back panel, it just pops off. Well, it should. There we go. Then you undo some linkages in here, mainly this one and this spring link over here for the KMC system. Just remove both sides, and that frees up your carriage to be lifted out. As you can see, I've put all new felt in here and gave it a paint coat because the thing was rusty. Then it just pops back on. There we go. Then the carriage itself, if you look down, you see two screws over here. You have two similar screws on the other side, and you can just remove those, and the entire carriage can be lifted out. Well, one thing you should not forget, of course, is hooking your drawband on this little screw over here before you lift it out, otherwise you're gonna have some issues. Then I'm gonna bring you guys back to the front. There we go. And with that carriage removed, you can see that there is a lever over here. There's a similar one on the other side. And what that lever does is, as it sits now, it keeps the entire core in place, but with this panel removed and the carriage removed, you can just remove the entire core with the key bars from the machine. And that way you can access really about anything of this machine for cleaning, which is what I did. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but there is a way to tell if typewriter is, let's say, virgin or not. And that's by looking at the ring. Now, as you can see, this ring over here, it has a lot of damage, collision damage from the key bars that hit it. So that's one way you can tell this machine has been heavily used. Another way you can tell is by looking at the keys, the slugs themselves. I don't know if you notice, but if you look at those keys, those slugs, you can see that a lot of them, well, some still have the number readable or somewhat readable, but a lot of them have damage in the middle. And this is caused by, if you move this one up, you can see that there is this spike at the back, and what happens is when another key collides with it, because the typist is too fast, it hits the middle of the other slug, with that spike instead of that the typeface hits the slug in the back, destroying the typeface, because that would be a costly repair. So as you can see, this machine belonged to a typist that was very fast, faster than the machine itself. Alright, I think that's a bit the tour of the machine. Let's do some typing. Before I do some typing, of course, I need to set my machine straight. Put some paper in there. There we go. That's nice cut. That's nicely cut. I can even put up those lovely little card holders. Just pop back like that. But before I start typing, I of course need to set my margins. And this one looks quite okay, but setting the margins is pressing the carriage release, moving up to the margin, hitting the left KMC button. I can move that margin to wherever I want. Let's put it over here. I'm releasing now the KMC button. Right, that's my left margin. Let's see where my right is, all the way in the back. Picking it up, leaving it there. Now, if I did it correctly, it didn't want to move. Let's try that again. That's more like it. There we go. Time to do some typing. And as you can see, I'm a horrible typist. So, I promised you guys that I would show you the platen quick release, or the quick platen release, or whatever you want to call it. So how about I do that now? And of course, what fun is a platen release, or a quick platen release. There we go, that's one side, and on the other side we have, right, and now I can just take it out and put my other platen back in. The fun thing about the other machine I got, or my first machine, was that it came with this cork platen. The previous times I used it, it actually sounded a lot more quiet than there we go, cork platen is in. That's something you don't see every day. Time to put in some paper. I don't know if you noticed, but it sounds quieter to me. It's less sharp. since I'm making a video, I can just do some magic editing. Anyway, I think that's enough fooling around on this machine. I hope you liked the video, and see you around next time. Bye bye.